Welcome to Hope Natural Health, the podcast inspiring you to be your best version. Join me, your host, Dr. Erin, naturopathic doctor, dog mom, cancer survivor, and girl boss weekly as we discuss all things health, hormones, and happiness with a little side of this thing called life. Welcome back to the podcast. Last week, we discussed training your brain, and now I'm ready to dive into this week's episode. We're going to talk about how we can get better sleep. Everyone talks about how important sleep is for overall health, but what about the other way around? The truth is that if you're not doing things throughout the day that support your physical health, even the best bedtime routines will never help you sleep. So here are some ways to support your physical body for better sleep. You really want to try to wake up at the same time every day to set that internal clock and even your hormones. I don't know if you tend to go off of a schedule on the weekend, but my internal clock I feel like is super set because I wake up at the same time every single day, no matter what is on my agenda. I also have 2 dogs that are on their own internal clock that might have a factor in waking me up, but I don't even know the last time I set an alarm because I trust my body that it has its own internal alarm clock, and I'm literally getting up at the same time or waking up, within 30 minutes of each day at the same time. It's incredible when you start having, a regular bedtime and a regular wake up time, what can happen. The second tip would be to get out in the sun so your body can make vitamin D, absorb vitamin D, which will then help regulate your sleep. Even getting sunlight first thing in the morning within 1 hour of waking up will stimulate so many different things in the body. Now, here in Arizona, it's getting lighter later. So try to do your best as soon as that sun comes up to get outdoors. You can even try happy lights, which are devices that mimic the sunlight and will still have, similar effects of getting that bright sunlight first thing in the morning. Third, we want to make sure that you're moving your body for better sleep quality. It's actually been researched that exercise earlier in the day is better for sleep than later on in the day. Oftentimes, we release a lot of hormones and have some stimulating effects if we do the exercise later on in the day. So I highly recommend moving that body earlier in the day, even if you feel a little bit sleepy. It might actually reverse that and give you some energy to get through your day. Next would be to stay hydrated so that we can regulate your body's core temperature and therefore improving sleep. Hydration is key for so many things. Like mentioned here, your core body temperature, helping sleep. It's going to help manage your cortisol levels. It's going to help with your hormones. It's going to help with detox, lymph, you name it. Hydration is key, and that is water. It is not, energy drinks or coffee or tea. It is literally water. So as I've mentioned before, a good recommendation for hydration would be about half your body weight in ounces of water a day. Now, you might need more if you're super active and sweating more, but that's a good rule of thumb if you can aim for that. Next would be eating for your blood sugar balance because both too high or too little blood sugar can disrupt sleep. I see this all the time in my women that I chat with in the office about their diet, sleep, and then when we do labs, their insulin levels and even glucose levels. Oftentimes, high insulin could be a result of what we ate the night before because women are notoriously eating most of their calories before bedtime, and women also notoriously eat a bunch of carbohydrates. It's just how we are. So if you're eating higher carbohydrate meals, have a little alcohol with that. That's a lot for your body to try and digest and process, and therefore it can mess with your blood sugar. Same thing throughout the day. If you're hangry, that's a good sign that your blood sugar is imbalanced. So I would look at the meal that you ate previously and ask yourself, was this a well-balanced meal? Did I get plenty of protein? Did I get good, healthy fat? How about the carbohydrate intake? Was that, about equal to the protein, or, was it triple the amount of protein I had? All of these things, if you have an unbalanced macro meal, can definitely throw off your blood sugar. Also, spikes of insulin in the middle of the night can cause you to wake up. We also don't want to wake up feeling hungry either, because that obviously will disrupt our sleep. So first, let's check our habits. Like, which one of these that I mentioned could be ruining your sleep? Is there anything here that you think that you can work better on? Some other tips, too, to keep in mind are alcohol, like I mentioned. Even though it actually will calm our nervous system, it disrupts our normal phases of the sleep cycle as it wears off during the night. So if you have any sort of tracking device to check your sleep, it'd be super interesting to look at the patterns on the nights that you had that glass of wine with dinner versus the nights that you did not have that glass of wine with dinner, and see if you notice any trends in your sleep patterns. But also, too, if you don't have a tracking device, you can even just, make a journal and write down your symptoms and how you feel the next day, mentally, physically, and emotionally too. Sugar. This goes back to what we ate the night before, or what we ate, not the night before, but I guess right before bedtime. So making sure that we avoid eating sweets and even those refined carbohydrates before bed, because these will cause our blood sugar to fluctuate throughout the night. Like I mentioned, that can disrupt sleep. A lot of women are struggling with energy, so we oftentimes will run through the Starbucks or the Dutch Brothers or Black Rock Coffee in the afternoon to grab that coffee. But did you know that it can take up to 10 hours for caffeine to completely clear from your system? So make sure you pay attention to when you drink that last sip of coffee or any sort of energy stimulant that might affect your sleep. I personally do not like to have any caffeine after 2 p.m. Typically my caffeine's done, by 8 or 9 in the morning, but we all have those bad days where we're like, I could really go for an extra cup of Joe, but try and make that before 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Back to the movement. Sitting around for too long will actually disrupt our hormones, disrupt your internal clock, and disrupt your quality sleep. So it's super important, even if you have a desk job or the inability to really be physically active at your job, to make an effort to get up and move around, many times throughout the day, whether that's, paying attention to your iWatch and when it tells you to stand, setting little alarms in your phone to get up and walk around. It doesn't have to be, a mile walk. It could be a quick walk around the building, back to the water fountain and back to your desk. Just get up and move that body, because your hormones, your internal body clock, and your sleep will thank you. Also, some other tips that we can do are making sure that you avoid the nighttime lights. And this would be mainly from the screens. So the blue light that we emit from the phone, our tablet, or even our TV interferes with our natural production of melatonin, which is our hormone needed for sleep. So when we have the late night screens scrolling through Facebook or Instagram or TikTok on your phone, you're actually signaling your brain that it's still time to be awake. And it's not able to produce the melatonin that we need to calm that brain down and promote restful sleep. So before you grab a pill to try and help you sleep, or even something natural, let's take a look at these habits that I've mentioned and see if you notice even better sleep when you stop them. I'm sure we're all guilty of one of these and know that we can actually improve, our sleep more than we actually think we can without having to medicate ourselves or use some sort of natural therapy to help improve our sleep. One last tip, because a lot of people don't do this, and I will actually say I don't do this, is try to turn off your Wi-Fi at night. The Wi-Fi router will send constant invisible signals throughout your home, which increases your exposure to these EMFs, or electromagnetic fields. These EMFs will stress our body, our nervous system, and our hormones. And some people are actually more sensitive to EMFs than others, and you may think that they don't affect you, but these actually could be the one thing that is contributing to your poor sleep. So one thing you can do to decrease the EMFs in your home is turn your turn off your Wi-Fi router. You can just plug the router into an outlet with a programmable timer, or just simply unplug it and remember to plug it in every morning. So there's other benefits by doing this too, because you and your family will actually be forced to shut down your devices at a specific time every night, and you won't be tempted to grab your phone in the middle of the night if you do wake up because you don't have any Wi-Fi. So that is one thing that is not really well known, but we're exposed to so many EMFs throughout our day that we really can't control. That this is one way that you can control an EMF exposure is by turning off your Wi-Fi. So again, I want you to know or realize if you have any of these habits and see if you can work on one of them before you take, that Tylenol PM or even the CBD or reach for a gummy or something like that to help with your sleep. Because I bet, like I mentioned, there's probably one or two of these things that you can work on to see if your sleep will improve. I hope this was helpful for you, and I wish you all a good night's sleep. We'll see you all again next week.